very much. So I cannot follow Sydney's talk without saying my mom is here too. And I love you so much and so grateful for you. Thank you for all you do. So in preparation to give this speech, I decided that it would be a really great idea for me to log on to the Facebook Walk the Talk page and take a look at some of the videos from the past presentations that I hadn't had the pleasure to see in person. And I thought I could really learn from them, and I did. And I watched them, and I felt myself inspired and in awe of their presence, of their speaking ability. And at the same time that I was feeling all of these really great feelings for them, I started to feel something really old in me start to rise up. And that feeling was feeling inadequate. I felt as if perhaps I didn't really belong up here on the stage. I felt perhaps I didn't measure up, and that I just really wasn't good enough. Now, this is really old stuff for me. Back before I became mindful of this stuff really, really ran my life. There is no way I would have been up here doing this. Once I became mindful of the stuff, however, though, I did a lot of work to really dig in there and uncover what that stuff was all about for me and did a lot of healing work around it. And I'm just so blessed that mindfulness helped lead me to the place where I can be here this evening. So I'm mostly free of that stuff. I don't feel it much anymore at all, except when I'm doing something that's getting ready to expand me beyond my current comfort zone. So this opportunity has really brought up some of my stuff. So I had this awareness, I had this stuff rising up in me. But I decided, you know what? I just need to turn off these videos and I just need to write my speech. Because that was this block of time that I had to work on the speech, and that was what I was going to do. I'll just put that stuff on a shelf. I'll just deal with that later. I'm going to sit down and write my speech. Now, it did occur to me that perhaps before writing a mindfulness speech, that I should meditate. And I thought, you know what? I don't have time to deal with this stuff, and I don't have time to meditate. I just need to sit down and get this done. And so I sat at my computer, and I began to think, mindfulness. This is such a vast topic. It's so huge. What is it that I want to talk about? I need to have a little niche. What could I talk about? I could talk about mindfulness and witness consciousness, because that's how I learned mindfulness, and that comes from Kriya Yoga, which is like 5,000 years old. That could be really spiritually enlightening for people. Or I could talk about mindfulness and meditation and how so many people feel like they cannot meditate because they feel like their minds are not blank when they meditate, and they give up. And they just don't understand that they need to really explore different meditation techniques and find something that really just syncs with them and helps them feel really present and really good in the moment and in the flow. Or I could talk about mindfulness and sex. That's sure to be a crowd pleaser and a juicy topic. How to be really spiritual and conscious and present with your partner during lovemaking. So I'm sitting at my computer and I'm doing all of this research. And pretty soon, I felt myself becoming very frustrated because it's all important, and I couldn't decide what it is that I wanted to talk about. And after a while, I found that I was feeling like this. Can anyone relate to this image? Yes, I know you can, because we have all been there. We have all found ourselves stirring in all this mind chatter and just not knowing what direction to go. And once I figured out that I was like this, I knew that there was one thing that I needed to do. And that thing is, that's right, I needed to let that shit go. I love this. Great, I needed to let that shit go, right? Easier said than done. Right? Because once we find ourselves in a blockhead space, How is it that we get from being blockheads into a place of peace, love, clarity, groundedness? How is it that we do that? Sometimes our shit is pretty easy to let go of because it's maybe just surface stuff that we can just take a couple deep breaths and let go. Other times our stuff has really deep roots that really need a lot of work in order to let some of that stuff go, right? The thing is that I've discovered that no matter what kind of shit that a person is dealing with, that there are things that everyone can do to help themselves go from this to this. And it's as simple as ABC. So A is for awareness and for action. The basic definition of mindfulness, right, is that we're able to observe ourselves from a neutral space. So we must have awareness, this ability to observe ourselves and whatever stuff we might have going on, right? But I'd like to suggest that awareness is just the first step, because we can be aware of ourselves being assholes, but it doesn't really do us much good if we just have awareness of it. Because one thing that mindful people do, which I know all of you are, is mindful people are really good at judging themselves. Because mindful people understand that there are these conscious people. They're in touch with this about themselves, and then they judge themselves when they feel like their shit comes up and controls them and they act in ways that they don't want to act. And then they judge themselves for judging themselves because they know that they're just supposed to be neutral observers of themselves. So you can see it's just this vicious cycle that goes round and round that us conscious, mindful people get into, right? So we have to be willing to take action. We have to first be aware of our stuff. That's really important, because how can we act on anything that we're just not aware of? Once we become aware of something, we have to choose to act. B, I just did it. I just took a deep breath. B is for breath and for body. Breath is the bridge. It's the gateway to bring consciousness into your body. And so, some people are resistant to taking deep breaths and to getting into their bodies. Because, let's face it, it's sometimes easier to be in a blockhead space and be spinning in our minds than to actually let ourselves relax enough to feel in our bodies what's really going on for us. There's a saying, our issues are in our tissues. And so sometimes when we take those deep, relaxing breaths, then we actually feel what's really going on for us versus what the mind is telling us is going on for us. So breath and body. How to take deep letting go breaths. You all can join me if you want to. You take a nice deep breath in, you fill up your belly, fill up your chest, and then you exhale through a nice relaxed jaw and you sigh it out. Let's do one more. Body. Exercising, yoga, taking a walk in nature, dancing, whatever works for you to get grounded. Taking deep breaths and getting grounded in the body are ways that you can help yourself get to see. See is for clarity and for conscious choice. Not making choices out of our stuff, but making choices when we are clear to make choices, conscious choices. So going back to my blockhead moment, when I'm sitting at my computer and I realized that I was being a blockhead. And I was so close to emailing these walk the talk guys and telling them, you know what, I am so sorry, I apologize, but please give my spot to someone else. I am not prepared to do this. But I knew awareness told me that that would be a fear-based choice, and I was going to choose to not take action out of my fear. So what I chose to do instead was I chose to push myself away from my desk and my computer because I knew that that was adding to my anxiety. And I decided to get into my breath and into my body by walking around my room. And I start to take some deep, long breaths. And I start shaking my body all about. And I just start releasing all my tension out of my body. I just start breathing it out. I'm so... Right? And so I'm doing this, and then I just become aware of feeling really frustrated and just start feeling really angry at myself. And I know that needs to be expressed, and I need to bring words to it. And so I'm just like, damn it, Laura, why the hell are you doing this to yourself? You're too busy for this. Why are you making yourself do this? And I just know that this energy needs to be released and let go. And so I just go to my bed and like, and I just start pounding the pillows and I just let it go, just let it go. The thing is, people are so scared of their so-called negative emotions. We're really scared to feel that stuff, when really emotion is just energy in motion. And when we don't express it, and we're not willing to feel it, and we push it down, it stagnates, and it becomes this putrid, icky mess that turns into like self-sabotaging behaviors, or all of a sudden we're not as patient or loving with our loved ones, or we're acting in ways that we don't want to act in the world. When really, if we just can love ourselves enough to give ourselves the space to process some of that emotion and just let it go, we feel so much better. And so, after I did my little thing, I go to my bed, lay back on my bed, hand over the belly, hand over the heart, and I start to bring myself love, grace, understanding, peace, assurance. Laura, it's okay. You're doing the best you can. You've got a lot going on. Take some deep breaths in my self-love. Do some of my tantric breath work and meditation, which are the meditation tools that work for me. And I just start bringing the earth energy up through my body, up through my energy centers, up all the way, expanding out through my energy field, feeling the love of the universe. And then I can just be. And I can relax, and I can let go, and I can allow myself the freedom to let whatever needs to come through me to come through. Later on that evening, I was sitting at the dinner table with my husband, Michael, who is also here this evening, and I saw a mug on the table that he had given me for my birthday. And it said, that's right, let that shit go. Thank you for being my muse, Michael. And I thought, how perfect, because, that's really the essence of mindfulness to me. To me, mindfulness has given me the ability for me to be really conscious and for me to consciously choose how I want to be in the world. So I am in control of myself and whatever stuff I may have, rather than my stuff controlling me. And that feels like victory. Thank you so much.